Hey everyone, my name is Malcolm Onfled. I wanted to talk about my Sony 200-600mm lens and give you the things that I wish I knew before I bought it, because I've had it for a few weeks now. I did make a video on my first impressions on my first week of shooting with it, and people seem to like that. So I thought I'd do a follow-up on some more stuff that I've learned since then and try to give some guidance for people that are considering buying it for themselves, just to kind of give you a fuller picture of what you can expect. Full disclosure, this is going to be a positive review pretty well across the board. It's just, some helpful knowledge that might be helpful for you. And I think depending on your experience with photography and videography, some of these things are going to be obvious for you, where maybe they weren't for me as somebody newer to the field. But let's get into it. Okay, number one, it is heavier than I expected it to be. It's not outrageous, and I do usually shoot handheld. So this on my camera that I'm using to film right now, and that is fine. I'm sore by the end of the long day. I'm going out generally for the entire day, and I'm definitely feeling it, but it is heavier than I expected, and I don't know what I would do without these little Peak Design clips, honestly. I'm super glad I had them, and I use them with my Peak Design strap, which, you know what, I'll grab it, I'll show you. Here it is. It's this strap here by Peak Design, and it's got these little clips on the end. Focus on you, not me. There we go. That just clip onto these clips. So it'll clip right onto those clips, like so. Voila. And I can get that on the other one. Because this lens is so heavy, you don't want to carry the weight on the camera. You want the weight to be carried on the lens. So it's clipped onto both of those. I got all tangled up. Normally that goes smoother, but whatever. And voila. Hands-free. I can just drop it with the camera on it, or if I want to change lenses, I just kind of drop this one down, put the cap on, throw another lens on the camera, and just shoot that handheld. It's going to be lighter because this is my biggest lens. So that system works really well. Just for like hiking to the next location, I like having my hand free. I can use it to carry a cup of coffee or whatever. So the strap solution, totally like the most crucial thing probably that I could think of. Okay, and then after that is that this lens requires a lot of light. All of my lenses before getting this big Sony lens here were either a 1.8 or a 2.8 aperture. And this goes from 5.6 to 6.3, so obviously it's just quite a bit slower and thus requires quite a bit more light. And I underestimated how much more light it would need. So I had bad weather pretty much since I've got the lens. Today is the first sunny day, but my car is in need of repairs all of a sudden, so I can't even go and shoot it. That's why I'm making a video, honestly. But soon enough, I'll get out there for some good, nice lit weather. But it does, yeah, it requires light. So you're going to have to play with your shutter and maybe have it lower than you would want for something like a fast moving bird, just to compensate for light. You don't want to crank your ISO too high. It's really been a balancing game learning that. I'm trying, and I would suggest you try this too. I've been trying using like my ISO on auto and just really worrying about only controlling my shutter speed. And that's been pretty successful, I would say. And it is, of course, impressive what you can do with like noise reduction in post these days. So I'm making that work, but just be aware, it's going to take more light than you would think. You're probably not going to need an ND filter for photography with this thing. And another thing that I saw come up in the comments on my other video about this lens is kind of comparing it to the Tamron, which goes up to, the Tamron equivalent goes, I think, from 150 to 500, where this is 200 to 600. And I gotta say, 600 is where it's at. I am almost always at 600 millimeters. So rarely am I backing it off. It's like, you got to be pretty lucky to get that close to want to be further away from the subject. I really do think that when comparing against the Tamron 150 to 500, the Sony is going to be really worth it just for that extra 100 millimeters. I don't think I would have been very satisfied with my purchase if I hadn't gotten this one and had that 600 millimeter reach. And on that note, I find that I'm actually using my APC like crop mode quite a bit to even get a little bit closer. I know that there's opinions where you should do that in post and just not crop the sensor. I think that's like a resolution kind of thing, but I just like doing it, just like taking the photo as framed as I want it to be. I think that'll lead to me buying a camera with a higher megapixel count sensor in the future, because cropping is just a reality with wildlife, I'm finding. So 600 millimeters, That's what you want. Now I know that Sigma did release a 60-600, which is like an insane range, and I would love to try that out. But I think I saw that when it zooms, the lens gets longer, where the Sonys do not. They stay the same length. And I gotta say, I don't think I would ever want to leave that behind. It's nice. Until you try it, this is where it's at. That said, I do want to try that Sigma lens. And now the last thing I want to mention is that I actually do probably equal amounts photography and videography at this time. And shooting handheld video of animals at 600 millimeters or even, cropped in, which is going to be like around 900, I think, is almost impossible for me. Like, it's just too shaky. It's impossible as far as I've had any luck. I don't know if other people are somehow pulling off smooth, usable footage handheld at 600 millimeters, but I haven't had really any luck. The only luck I've really had doing video with this lens is with a monopod or a tripod. So something to keep in mind, unless you've got like rock Hulk arms and can just be so steady Eddie, I'd be very impressed. Please let me know if you have that skill and teach me your ways. But if you're planning to use this for video, you're probably going to need a solid monopod or tripod. And then other than that, I don't think anything really caught me off guard. It's an amazing lens. Those are just some things I thought would be helpful for people that are considering picking it up for themselves. I hope you do. I can't wait to hear how much you love it, because this has been one of the most satisfying purchases I've ever made, I gotta say. I am still just totally in love with this thing, and it brings a lot of joy into my life. So I hope you get your own and get to go explore and take photos of beautiful things and have as much fun as I'm having. Thank you. If you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe so I can grow this channel. I would like to keep making stuff like this. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next one.